Took me an entire episode, but it's finally sunk in. Daylight savings time happened. It's dark. Once people get out of work and all these games even start, I'm in a little bit of a rut. I'm in the red. Brett, you're in the green, though. This is episode 174 of The Next Best Bet. I'm Jake Higgins with Brett Levy. Taking a look at last episode, Brett, I got my ass handed to me kind of in college football. My pick of the pod lost again. I did hit my Jaguars plus 10 pick. I liked that pick. I knew I did. But Brett, you see a lot more green than I do today.
Hey, Higgins. Everyone gets lucky every once in a while. Coming off an undefeated pod, you're feeling pretty good, Higgins. Nice to get 4 wins under the belt, 4-2 record, not too bad. Mavericks came through for me against the Spurs, that was nice. Levy Lock comes through, Higgins. Good college football day as well, so no real complaints at all on my end.
1-1 on your NFL unders, too. One of them, good thing you had the hook there because I believe 44 points was scored in the Carolina-Arizona game, that might be. But New England, they scored 45 points on their own. That was not the low-scoring game that we thought. Mac Jones might be getting in a groove with the Patriots. Who knows there? We'll talk about some more NFL in a little bit. But Brett, let's talk about some Beginners Boulevard. And I want to talk about the term sharp money. And this is often in reference to the professional bettors, the ones that put up large amounts on a single line, and they can often move lines at sports books, right, Brett?
Yeah, a sharp better is different than a whale, Higgins. A sharp better is a respected gambler. So a whale is just someone betting large sums of money. A sharp is someone, that is respected and can move some lines here.
Typically, they're an educated bettor. They have a system or an algorithm or something. They've been doing it for a while, and they got a lot of respect at that sports book. And you'll typically hear the term sharp money in contrast to public money. Sometimes they'll be on the same lines. Sometimes the sharp money will move it from the public's favorite, and all of a sudden, the sports books will have to really reevaluate where they are if they're both on the same side.
Yeah, I guess that's the worst nightmare, right? If you're on the same side. But all good things for us to know, Higgins. And now when someone talks about sharp money being somewhere or the sharps are on one side, you now know what they're talking about.
Somewhere where it seems like there is a lot of money, both sharp and public, is on this Monday night football game, Brett. We're going to shift into the NFL here. Talk about Rams at the 49ers. And it seems like a lot of the money, both public and sharp, is on the Rams. The line's at -3.5 because of it sitting right above a field goal. And Brett, it's interesting because the Rams bring in Odell Beckham Jr., but they also lost Robert Woods. It seems like OBJ's going to be playing and playing at a significant level on Monday night. There's apparently some reports saying that they might even have him return some punts.
Oh, wow, I didn't see that. I saw some interesting reports, Higgins, that the Rams, I guess, didn't know the extent of Von Miller's ankle injury. So lots of information coming out of Rams camp over the weekend.
Yeah, if you look at the depth chart, OBJ is actually listed as the second punt returner right behind Cooper Kupp, so it'll be interesting if he gets used there. Because of Robert Woods' injury, I expect he's going to be used at least frequently in the offense. And this should be an interesting game as the 49ers kind of have gotten healthy again with a lot of their offense. Mohamed Sanu is out still, so Garoppolo is going to be without one of his targets, but this over is sitting at 50 right now, just above the 49 that I would like to see it at. So I'm going to be leaning towards that over, but waiting till Monday. I see no point of placing it on Sunday night. But Brett, the play that I am going to take, because I'm hammering this, is the Rams -3.5. I think Matthew Stafford is going to throw a deep ball or two to Odell Beckham Jr. We saw the plays of Odell being wide open on some fades and not getting any looks when he was in Cleveland this season. I think Stafford's going to make sure to give him some looks. We saw what Stafford did to start his season with that a 60 something yard bomb in the opening game. I wouldn't be surprised if we see some sparks fly with him and OBJ.
Yeah, I would imagine Sean McVay has a plan to get Odell Beckham into the end zone for the Rams. Yeah, so I'd look maybe into the prop market for an Odell anytime touchdown. I think that's a good bet, Higgins.
Yeah, so looking at the over, not going to place that as of Sunday night as we're recording. Definitely placing the spread bet. I'll let you know on social media, though, if I'm taking that over on Monday. We'll see where it's sitting at. Brett, jumping into some college football because we still have the action going on Tuesdays and Wednesdays now. We get some football, plenty of football to talk about. We got college basketball as well starting up. It's really nice to have all this stuff. And on Tuesday, I like this rivalry game, Western Michigan, Eastern Michigan. It should be interesting. You look at the history of these two teams. Western Michigan typically comes out the victor, except in the past 2 seasons. Eastern Michigan won the past 2 years. And if you look at the history of these teams playing, if Eastern Michigan wins 2 games, they typically end up winning the third year in a row as well. So I'm backing Eastern Michigan plus 5.5 because I think it's going to be close. I like the way that history trends. It does repeat itself a lot of times. I'm not confident enough to take it on the money line, but plus 5.5, I could see this being a field goal game.
All right, plus 5.5. Yeah, on Tuesday night, Higgins. Um, I can't find myself on any sides yet. I'll wait to see injury reports and stuff as we get closer to game action. But I would maybe lean some overs. We've seen some very high scoring games in action. So, early lean so far on Tuesday and Wednesday night for me. I'm looking at some overs. But, Higgins, I will say this. You beat me into the rundown for one on a Wednesday night. Northern Illinois at Buffalo. Northern Illinois, road favorites, Higgins. But I like Northern Illinois in this spot, and I know you do too.
Yep, the early bird gets the worm, Brett. And there was something about this line that just reeked. I mean, Northern Illinois 7-3 on the year, the top team in the MAC, 5-1 in the conference, facing off against a Buffalo team that's kind of underperformed this year. They're 4-6 on the season, 2-4 in the conference, and not even doing well against the spread. And you're going to tell me the Huskies are only 1.5 point favorites? No. No, I'm absolutely taking Northern Illinois in this. I don't understand where this line is sitting at.
Yeah, Buffalo's quarterback play has been up and down this year. Northern Illinois has Michigan State transfer Rocky Lombardi leading the way. They look like the better team all year, Higgins. So I agree with you. I think Northern Illinois, if there's a side to be on pregame, that would be the side.
Yeah, it's an interesting line. The over-under sitting at 64.5 shows that it should be very high scoring. A lot of these MAC games have some high over-under, so it should be some very eventful college football if that's your choosing on Tuesday or Wednesday night. But like I said, we have college basketball now. We have NBA, NHL. So there's plenty to pick from any night of the week when you're watching sports, Brett. We're going to jump into some Moneyline Magic and talk about a Thursday night thriller in college basketball. It was an early season surprise upset in a game a few people were watching, but many people were asleep getting ready for their Friday day of work, right, Brett? UC Riverside and Arizona State.
Yeah, crazy ending in this one, Higgins. I guess I saw it on Twitter, so that's how you know I kind of found out about this one. But unbelievable ending as a very small school from the Big West knocks down a Pac-12 school, Higgins.
With a top 10 play of the night. The top play of the night, actually, is a part of this highlight. But Brett, it was fantastic. The Sun Devils, they were 8.5 point favorites in this one. They only led by as much as 5 at any point in this game. They trailed much of the first half, finally took the lead in the second half, But coming down the stretch in the final 3 minutes, it was an absolute battle because with about 2.5 minutes left, JP Mormon II made a 3-pointer to give Riverside the lead, and that's not the last time we're going to hear that kid's name.
No, I have a feeling he's coming back in a big way, Higgins.
I mean, free throws would give Arizona State the lead and then tie the game back up. And with a minute 45 in regulation, it's tied 63-63. And there wouldn't be another score for about a minute and a half. With 2 seconds left, Luther Muhammad makes a layup for the Sun Devils to give them a 65-63 lead. 2 seconds left, Brett. Very, very important to remember because JP Mormon II, the man I mentioned earlier, well, he's the one that gets the inbound pass. He turns and has a wide open shot, but he's 3/4 of the way away from the basket, launches it and drains it. A 3-pointer from all the way across the court. UC Riverside wins 66-55. Of course, that cross court shot was the top play of the night. It was viral on Twitter. It was a fantastic upset in a game that surprised everyone once they learned about it the next day.
Yeah, I'm sure if he takes that shot about 20 times, Higgins, he might even go over 20, you know? So, unbelievable moment and, something those UC Riverside kids will never forget.
The Highlanders absolutely riding high off of that win. 1-1 on the season, a very impressive one as well. Today's podcast is presented by Podgo. Podgo is the easiest way for you to monetize your podcast, providing podcasters with a flat rate for ad space so you always know how much you get when you include an ad from Podgo. Apply today to become a member and immediately be connected with advertisers that fit your audience. That's podgo.co at podgo.co. And be sure to add our podcast, The Next Best Bet, in the How Did You Hear About Podgo section of the application. Now, continuing with college basketball, Brett, there are a few games going on Monday. There was one game that at least interested me. Number 11 Illinois traveling to go face off against Marquette. I mean, this is at least an interesting matchup. We got a Big Ten versus Big East school here. Marquette not necessarily playing anyone of note yet, but they've only played 2 games. They're 2-0. Illinois, they're 2-0, and they've also not necessarily played anyone of note either. They're also without one of their seniors who is supposed to be a very influential person and help this team potentially make a deep run, Kofi Coburn. And this is the last game of his suspension, a 3-game suspension that he's out. Illinois minus 8.5. I still like it though. It's under 10 points. I think this is going to be a double-digit line on Monday, so I'm taking the minus 8.5.
Yeah, you mentioned Big Ten versus Big East. Wisconsin is playing Providence as well on Monday Night, Higgins. So a few decent games. Yeah, Marquette in first year under Shaka Smart, new regime, new team a little bit, Higgins. So I think Illinois is probably the side I'd feel more comfortable with here, but I won't be near this one. I've got Monday Night Football, a lot of great NBA games. So unfortunately, as much as I love college basketball, Higgins, probably taking the Monday away from college basketball with the Monday Night Football and so many games in the NBA.
For me, it really comes down to defense. Illinois has is averaging 50 points against in the 2 games that they've played. Marquette, they're averaging 70 something because they've played New Hampshire and SIU Edwardsville and they've allowed 70 and 77 points. That's a little too lazy on the defensive end for me. I think Illinois is a little bit sharper on their defensive game this early in the season, and I think minus 8.5 is doable for them. But Brett, let's jump into the NBA and talk about a much bigger slate of games that we really have and some really interesting ones as well.
Yeah, Higgins, you're very nice for calling them interesting games because we probably picked 3 of the worst games, but that's okay. We're in it for the money, baby. Kings at Pistons. No one's watching this game, Higgins. But Kelly Olynyk went out last week for Detroit, and I actually really like Sacramento. I mentioned it a few times. So I think Sacramento can cover the 4.5 here on the road, Higgins. And I actually would probably take this all the way up to 6.5. So I think there's about 2 points worth of value there on Sacramento.
Okay, yeah. I think you mentioned we're taking three of the worst games. I think we're taking some of the games with the closest spreads right now. And so we think that they're going to be a little bit more lopsided games. There might be some sloppy play down the stretch, things like that.
I guess that's fair. Yeah, another game I'm looking at, Higgins. In your neck of the woods, the Blazers are taking on the Toronto Raptors. Raptors, one of the best road teams in the NBA. Blazers, very hot and cold this year. Damian Lillard struggling a bit to start the year. So I look for the Raptors as 1 point dogs to either push or cover Higgins and win outright. Minus 102 on the money line here was not enough value for me to take them over the plus 1 points. I'd rather have the plus 1 points than the minus 102 number. But, some people might prefer the just below even money.
Like me, I'd probably
There you
prefer
go.
that money line to be honest, but I'm going to stay away from this game because you mentioned the Raptors, one of the best away teams at 5-1. Portland's 5-1 at home as well. So, I mean, Portland not necessarily playing fantastic, but when they're at home, they're playing pretty strong. So that's a stay away game for me. I like Phoenix at Minnesota personally. The Suns, they're playing pretty strong, 8-3 to start the season, 3-1 on the road. Timberwolves, not a great start to their season, 4-8, 2-5 at home, and also 3-8 against the spread. They're not playing well by really any metric that I'm looking at them. And the Suns, they're only 3-point favorites. I'm going to be taking them here. I like that it's still a one basket spread right now. I'm going to take that before maybe a hook jumps onto it. Maybe it gets to 4 points on Monday.
I like it, Higgins. I will disagree a little bit. I think Anthony Edwards has been fantastic for Minnesota, and I think he might be accelerating the rebuild there just a little bit, Higgins. I really like what I've seen from Minnesota this year. Maybe you're right. Maybe they're not playing so great against the spread, but I think they're a competitive basketball team, and they've got scoring power. They've got some athletes, so they're an interesting team to watch moving forward. Anthony Edwards, a really good player.
I don't disagree with what you said, but you mentioned a few things rebuild and accelerating. They're still not there yet. They're still losing. They're still not quite over that hump yet. Anthony Edwards is definitely helping, but I don't think the Timberwolves are quite there yet at the beginning of this season. Maybe we'll see them on a mid-season run. Maybe we see something special out of them. Who knows? But I do like the Suns. They still are the team that they were last year, and they're on a hot start to start the season. But Brett, let's talk about some hockey. Want to talk hockey?
Let's talk some hockey.
Because I want to bring it back to something we talked about at the very beginning of the NHL season when we were giving out some of our first picks. You noticed that the Islanders had a tremendously long away stretch to start their season, and Brett, they are still on it. Did you know that?
Yeah, this is actually the very, very end of it, Higgins. These are the last two games you got coming up.
Yes, exactly. The last two games. And that is a very large part in why I am putting together this not Islanders parlay. Because in Oregon, they give me not just Monday, but Tuesday lines as well. And the Islanders have a back to back at Tampa Bay and then at Florida facing off against the Lightning and the Panthers. So I'm going to be taking the Lightning and the Panthers, combining it and getting it at plus 186, both of those plays on the money line because the Islanders are ready to go back home. They want to go home and play their little home stretch that they have their Thanksgiving, all of that. And I don't blame them. But they have two very solid teams that they have to play before they go and do that. And I don't think that they're going to be able to get through either of them.
All right, fair enough, Higgins. I think if I was betting this, um, personally, I'd probably take Islanders pregame at the Lightning, and then I'd maybe look to fade the Islanders on the second night of the back to back. The Islanders did, although not go home per se, I think they just played the New Jersey Devils at home.
Yes, they
So,
just played the Devils on the 11th.
yeah, so they did get to go home, if you will, Higgins. So
Mm-hmm.
it hasn't been as terrible as we originally thought, but like to your point, it hasn't been great. They would like to spend the night on the island. So I think what you're saying is definitely a reasonable take, definitely a reasonable side to be on. I guess I believe in the Islanders' talent a little bit more than you, and I could see them winning the front end of this back to back in Tampa.
I think you're right about the game against the Islanders being more challenging. I mean, Florida, they're undefeated at home. They're 7-0 at home to start their season, playing fantastic, even without their head coach, which is surprising. Tampa, though, a little bit more of a sluggish start. I mean, they're still playing rather strong with 7 wins on the season, but not quite as strong as Florida, I agree. So that would be a little bit more challenging. The second day of a back to back is also a lot tougher typically, so a little understandable why you would be more in favor of the Islanders against the Lightning than, say, the Panthers.
Yeah, vice versa.
Oh, yeah, you said you like the Islanders against the Lightning, but not against the
Yeah, yeah,
Panthers,
yeah.
right?
Sorry, yeah. Sorry. I was.
Yeah.
My bad. You confused the shit out of me.
I'm sorry. Well, let's jump into our Levy lock and pick of the pod here and then get out of here, Brett. You won your Levy lock. I lost my pick of the pod, so you continue with the honors, sir.
All right, Higgins. Well, the Raptors have surprised me a lot this year. They've been one of the best road teams in the NBA, and I look for that to continue on Monday night against the Trailblazers +1. I don't expect the Raptors to lose by much in this game, if at all, Higgins. So I think you could take them on the money line. I'm still getting them at a minus number here, minus 102. So I'd rather have the extra point in my favor.
Okay. My pick of the pod is going to be Rams -3.5. I really like them heading into San Francisco here. The 49ers have been abysmal against the spread at 2-6 so far to start their season. And the Rams getting OBJ into this offense, I think, is going to have them come out and really hit the pass attack hard, then give it to Henderson and be able to run the ball efficiently well. And the Rams are going to get back on track. They haven't won their last 3 games against the spread, but 2 of them were 16.5 point covers that they had to do against the Lions and the Texans. Didn't do that, then didn't cover 7 against Tennessee. All understandable to me. -3.5 against the 49ers. They got this on Monday night.
All right, Higgins, we need them to bounce back.
Make sure to follow us on social media at Next Best Bet on Instagram, at NBB Pod on Twitter, and the Next Best Bet Facebook page and YouTube channel. We'll have some picks out between now and next episode, also posting out some other content. This has been episode 174 of the Next Best Bet. For Brett, I'm Jake. We'll talk to you guys again on Thursday.